Hi, welcome to the Visionista podcast. I'm your host, Jessica East of Noir Marketing and PR. This podcast is for entrepreneurs where we talk about business and work-life balance. Hi, this is the Visionista, Jessica East, and I am with my buddy, Andrea Skrlac. And she does all things social media and marketing for Catholic Social Services here in Dayton. And we're going to talk to you a little bit about navigating kind of social, political things that might be hot button topics as business owners. There's been a lot going on. So, Andrea, would you like to introduce yourself?
There. As Jess said, I am Andrea Skrlac, and I've been at Catholic Social Services here in Dayton for about 6 years, doing all their communications for a 10-county service area. So a lot of diverse audiences, a lot of diverse programs, and lots of different social media website PR things happening. My background has been largely nonprofit, but I also used to work for, believe it or not, Hera Arena back in the day, promoting concerts and all that good stuff. So I've kind of seen a little bit of it all.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm because of the different kinds of programs we have, we do refugee resettlement. We have food pantries. We do all kinds of things. So there's a lot of different audiences, not only in terms of people who want information about certain things, but people who have very strong opinions about different things.
Mm-hmm.
So keep them in mind as we're doing our marketing and communications.
Mm-hmm. And I met you at what was it? New Media Dayton, maybe like 10-ish years ago or so, like at the beginning of social media. I remember sitting in that room when they first discussed hashtags and how you could use hashtags to find certain topics on Twitter, and everybody was like, "Oh, groundbreaking!" Now it's just second nature across all the things. So we've been in it for a minute. Yeah. But anyway, so one of the things, Andrew and I were talking a little bit before we started today about there have been a lot of people in the news here recently that have gotten themselves into some trouble because they have posted some personal opinions, some political opinions on their social, and they are, depending on who you ask, unpopular opinions. Sometimes, politics is very polarized right now, and it's kind of like 50-50. But the people who are getting themselves into trouble don't seem to understand why. So I was hoping that we could talk about that today and maybe help some people who hopefully have not gotten in trouble yet to stay out of trouble and help business owners and other professionals understand the differences between, it's really like a political thing versus a morality issue. So, what are your thoughts on that and posting things? Like, what are the difference between politics and morality?
Well, and depending on what type of business you have, if the business is you support people's political campaigns, you're going to be posting things that are political. That's what you're going to do. On your business and probably your personal. Honestly, the biggest thing to keep in mind with your personal social media is, number one, if you're posting things that are just open to the public, there's going to be a lot of people get. The more controversial a thing you say, which, among your own circle may not be controversial, but you need to put some thought into this everybody. If I say the sky is blue, there will be somebody who disagrees about that.
Yeah.
So number one, that's, be careful about what you're posting just openly. But as you and I were discussing earlier, even people who are posting only to their online friend group are finding that depending on what they post, people can do this magical thing called a screen grab.
Yep.
You can do it from your phone. You can do it from your computer. I'm sure you can do it on a tablet if you actually have one of those.
Yep.
There is, the old saying, nothing that goes on the internet ever goes away.
That is also true.
You can delete your heart out, but someone has screen grabbed it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference, and actually coming from the nonprofit background, there's a difference for us as an agency that we can support. For example, if the Montgomery County Human Services Levy
Mm-hmm.
is up for renewal. That's something that we can come out and support. We can't support a candidate. We can't, there's certain things, political stances that we're not allowed to do as a nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone's working at a nonprofit, obviously, but there's some of the same things to keep in mind is, if you're posting something that's, I'll go with political. Why are you posting it? That's the first question. Are you trying to persuade people? If so, why? If, as a business owner or business manager, you have kind of a different set of thought processes that need to go through your mind.
Yeah.
You're not Joe Bob down the street that no one's looking to. You're not going to see yourself on the news necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
If you're posting political things, it's one thing. Also, use school levies.
Yeah.
No one's going to get upset if you're posting informational things about something like that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're cussing out the opposition and saying, these people are idiots if they don't agree, whether people agree with your stance or not, you're saying something about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it professional.
Yes.
Keep it informational.
Mm-hmm.
And so that people, whether they agree with you or not, they can at least look at your comments and say, well, I can see that perspective. Mm-hmm. I may disagree, but he's not calling anybody out. She's not calling anybody out. Mm-hmm. If it's something directly related to your business that's political. So, for example, let's say there's something going on in Congress legislatively that relates to liquor sales, and you own a bar. Well, that obviously directly relates to your business. People aren't going to understand why you would be, so to speak, campaigning one way or the other.
To support or not support something that would help your business.
I mean, there's a connection there.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, the bottom line usually is if you are a business owner and you really know that your client base is probably not all on one side of the fence or the other, you really want to be cautious about posting anything that's political, because the risk you take is that, yes, some of your followers are going to say, oh my gosh, I'm on board, I'm going to run out and support you. Mm-hmm. Some people are going to have the opposite reaction. Mm-hmm. And as we all know from bad customer service, if you do good customer service, somebody may give you a nice review. If you give bad customer service, they're going to tell 50 friends, and they're all going to tell 50 friends. It's kind of the same thing. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to turn off customers that haven't even heard about you yet. Mm-hmm. So caution is always the best place to start. Mm-hmm. And I'll ask you, Jess, are there things with your business that, I know you've had clients that are of a political nature.
Mm-hmm. I do.
But to what degree do you personally comment on things like that, as opposed to what your business talks? I know your business will talk about online, that this is our client. Mm-hmm. But for you personally, is that a road you go down? Because as a professional, you may or may not personally support everything that your client says and does.
And that kind of is awesome, because that segues into the next thing I wanted to talk about. That has been kind of a guideline moving, like, from the past. It's a pretty standard thing. You don't bring up religion or politics in your business. If you're a business owner, you don't even touch that, because you're right. You may be agreeing with half of your clients, but half of your clients may be like, oh, I don't like that at all, so I'm going to maybe find someone else to provide those services or those products. And, I'm a middle of the road gal. Honestly, I'm not really affiliated with either political party. I voted across the aisle. That's pretty much what I do all the time. So I don't know. I read up about each person and each thing and decide on a case by case basis what I want to do. And I realize that's not what a lot of people do. And I get into trouble for that all the time, because people want me to be so strongly one way or the other. And I'm not. So, that's been something that, my husband and I, because, Randall owns his business too. And that's just kind of how we roll. We don't really talk about politics. And, if we're meeting with a client who is strongly positioned to one side or the other, and they really want us to agree with them on whatever their position is, especially if it's somebody that I really don't agree with. I'm kind of like, oh, well, I see why you might feel that way, or, oh, you make some valid points, like something to not necessarily tell them that I don't agree with them. Because I mean, everybody has obviously valid feelings for feeling the way they do and supporting the people that they do. But it is a general rule of thumb to stay out of politics. And what I really want to get to today is to kind of help people understand the difference between politics and issues of morality. We've had a lot of things going on right now with police brutality, Black Lives Matter, a lot of statues and monuments have been coming down. People are very, very strongly opinionated on both sides of the matter. I don't think I've ever met somebody who's like, meh, like they believe one way or the other very strongly. And so I think it's important to know, supporting a particular candidate or a particular Senate bill, unless it's, like Andrea said, it's some sort of bill that actually benefits or would hurt your business. It's a good idea to just stay out of that, because you're going to tick off a lot of people, and you don't know if you're going to tick off more people than support you or not. And that's just kind of a dangerous gamble. And, if your business is not supporting the political process, like if you're not a lobbyist or something, who wants to go to the ice cream shop and get some politics on the side? Nobody. I want a damn right. Give me my sprinkles and keep your commentary. Like, I don't want to hear it. So I think people are just overloaded anyway. But that's a good rule of thumb. The difference is, when some of these issues of morality come up, those are very different. And by issues of morality, I mean equality for our neighbors, equality for our employees, and you work, there's a resettlement program that you mentioned. So you have a lot of immigrant people that your agency helps coming in and out of the area, and they are probably not white, and they're coming from other places.
Great guess.
So a lot of those things impact these people that you've been tasked to help. So, from your perspective, how can people kind of stay out of trouble or support? Because I know that there are some people who just, I don't want to say they're card-carrying members of the KKK, but they have a very unpopular opinion of some of these social, moral issues. And people are losing business. We mentioned we're in the Dayton area. There have been a handful of people here recently who have come out very opposed to some of these current events and really kind of made an ass out of themselves, honestly. And people are boycotting their businesses.
Sometimes it's not even just what your opinion is, it's how you state your opinion.
Yes.
And, and there's a lot of name calling and I'll say foul language even.
Yes.
And insults.
Off-color memes and GIFs just go beyond professionalism.
And I think this is true for anybody, whether you're a business owner or not, is if you're going to get into a conversation, keep it classy.
Mm-hmm.
Have an intellectual conversation. If somebody says X, Y, and Z, and say, well, I can see where you're coming from, but here's Z. That's actually Z is actually you can try to go down that road with them. Most people, has anybody on the internet ever changed your mind? Have you ever looked at a meme and said, wow, now I really just have a completely different opinion? Not so much.
My life makes sense. No.
In all honesty, when you go down some of these roads where it's just that easy soundbite or that easy meme, you're preaching to your own choir.
Yeah.
You're talking to people who already agree with you, and it can feel nice.
Mm-hmm.
And some things are fairly innocuous,
mm-hmm.
But there's some really ugly stuff out there from both sides as far as calling, and I see people on both sides of the political aisle calling each other Nazis.
Mm-hmm.
well, if everybody's a Nazi, I don't know what's going on there. We're all Nazis now,
It
apparently.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah, exactly. So it can position yourself as being combative and aggressive. That in and of itself is not helpful to your business. Sometimes, I know we all have strong opinions, as you say, about certain topics. We don't all have strong opinions of every topic, but for most of us, there's that handful of issues that are at our heart, things we feel really strongly about. And you really have to decide: is there value in me posting about this on my page, or other people are going to see it? Or you see people who the term is trolls, or maybe they don't post on their own page, but they go comment on a lot of other places. Again, still an opportunity for somebody to get a screen grab on you. Sometimes, it may be, and the folks who were talking about locally here in the Dayton area, there was some pretty over the top commentary that was going on. I mean, multiple people were screen grabbing because this was just.
I mean, there was one individual who I will not mention who has a whole page devoted to this topic, and he has called people every name in the book. He's tried to out people and send like armed people to their houses, and he's threatened like personal harm and injury. He's bananas, but that's taking it too far, and he's using what's supposed to be something about a school and turning it into his own personal platform to disparage people that he does not care for. So that's completely unprofessional and just ridiculous.
It's true. So I mean, there's ends of the spectrum of hey, you made one comment. I can tell you that in my employment, I work for Catholic Social Services. I'm not Catholic, not a requirement to work there, but as an employee of, say, you work for a church or you work for St. Vincent de Paul, something like that, you really need to think about whether you agree with all the Catholic beliefs or not. You want to be cautious about what you're posting, because if you post something that's just blatantly going the other way, someone's going to see it, and it's not necessarily a fireable offense, but it presents a conflict with the message you're putting out at work and the message you're putting out personally. So even as an employee of an organization, you need to think about what are your organization, what are your business? Do you own a business? What are the things that you put out there about your business? Are you saying your business your business is there to serve the whole community? If that's the message you've been putting out as a business, but then as a person you're saying, I don't like this certain segment of the community. Well, now which of those is the truth?
It doesn't jive.
So it's
like you're taking advantage of people. Like, I don't like you and I don't want you to do well, but I'll take your money. It's green, and that's not okay either. That's two-faced, and people don't like that.
Now, all this being said is that people absolutely, you absolutely have the right, if you have a strong opinion, it is your right to put it out there. People talk about, you see it way too much on social media, people talking about, well, it's the First Amendment. You can't inhibit what I say. First Amendment prohibits the government from stopping you. So if Facebook decides your speech is offensive, or Twitter decides, they can take that down and they can flag it. That's not a First Amendment.
But if you are making offensive statements to people or slanderous statements about people, you 100% do have the right to say those things, but that doesn't mean that will be free from consequences. If you're revealing yourself to be really ugly, or, let's say you're a doctor or a fireman and you're saying, you only like a certain group of people, or you hate going into this particular neighborhood, people are going to question, well, if a house is on fire in that neighborhood, are you going to show up and do your best or not? And then that could jeopardize, the way people feel about that person, that fire department. And that's just an example. We haven't had anything like that going on. It's just, an easy thing to make. But, a lot of people are in positions where they serve the community beyond a certain zip code or a certain street or whatever. So, it's important to be seen fairly, I think.
I mean, if you're a person who owns or is thinking about starting a retail business, retail is tough. Do you really want to discourage potentially a substantial portion of your possible buyers and shoppers from even ever coming through your doors.
Mm-hmm.
You got to balance that your desire to put out your opinion,
Mm-hmm.
which again, you can do that. And sometimes, sometimes it may be that you have a strong opinion about something, and you make the calculated judgment that, my feeling about this is so strong that I am willing to jeopardize the idea that, maybe there are certain people that I don't value as customers.
Mm-hmm.
I will say for myself, there was I'll just say an eating establishment, and I live in Springfield.
Mm-hmm.
There's an eating establishment that I had really enjoyed and gone to for years, and they have one of those like signs outside that you could put, wording up for specials and whatnot. I drove by one day, and there was a message up that I'll say it was about a social issue.
Okay.
And the owners clearly had felt strongly enough that they put this on their signboard outside the restaurant. And I was like, okay, I no longer feel welcome.
Yeah.
Knowing that's how, it doesn't mean that's how their employees feel. I no longer feel welcome and will never probably patronize them again.
Mm-hmm.
That's absolutely their right. And that I'm perfectly fine with them. I'm one of the people who says, I may hate your speech, but I will fight to the death for your right to have free speech.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean that there isn't the consequences you said.
Yeah.
So my take was that, well, then you don't value me as a customer
Mm-hmm.
because you believe X. I'm okay with that. There's plenty of other places to go, and there are plenty of other customers. You're probably not going to go out of business because I'm not coming in there for dinner.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got to make those calculations of how important is it to you. Are you sure that your customer base is going to appreciate whatever the commentary is you're putting out?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other part of that is, we were talking earlier about some things with COVID-19,
Mm-hmm.
where when all this started, and this isn't so much a political thing, but it's become a political. The mask wearing has become a political thing.
It has become very political. Yes.
The social warriors on both sides. It's become quite an interesting. I've never seen the word sheeple so many times in my life. It's quite interesting.
That and pivot. I am over both of those words. Don't say those to me. I'm done.
But we were talking about people putting out, we'll say, empty platitudes.
Yes.
So it could be, we support X, or yes, we're trying. I think what example we were talking about earlier is, if a restaurant's posting, we're taking special measures to keep things clean. The question is, were you not?
Were you not cleaning before? My God.
So with some things like that, where it's you want to walk that line.
Mm-hmm.
But for example, we have in the building where I work, we have a food pantry.
Mm-hmm.
This had a very specific impact on us. We had what's called a choice food pantry model, and what that means is instead of getting like a bag or a box of food, if you come in and you had choices.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So we have proteins. You could pick X number depending on how big your household is. It's more of a shopping experience, and you could pick the things that that people in your household like.
Mm-hmm.
We've had to drop that temporarily. We're having volunteers in masks and gloves packing up boxes. We're doing a lot of things to keep people safe. We have put that information out there because we want people to know, yes, we have changed
Mm-hmm.
what we're doing. If you're one of our pantry visitors, and there have been a lot more with COVID-19,
Yeah.
we're needing that little extra help, and that's a whole other conversation. But we want people to know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
We trust that people believe we're going to do what we need to do to help keep them safe.
Yeah.
But we are making a point when people come in, we need you to wear a mask. We need you to stay 6 feet back from people. Whether you are, no matter which side of that issue you're on, it's not about us. It's about, we're going to do anything we can all the time to try and keep the people we're serving safe. So whether we think it's really necessary one way or the other isn't really the issue as much as we want to make sure people feel confident in their safety when they come to get help from us. So now if you're
that message, yeah,
you're an accountant, maybe not as important. If you're doing a lot of stuff over the phone, or you can video chat with people and you're not necessarily needing to meet face to face, you really don't got about what your sanitary changes are on your social media. Because again, sadly enough, it's become a political issue. So unless there's some reason to do something different, you've changed something. If circling back to talk about diversity and inclusion. Are you just saying yes, we support X, or are you saying here's what we're doing differently, or hey, we've already been making strides in this area. Here's what we've been doing that maybe you didn't know about. So don't post things that are just have a nice day while you're protesting X, or have a nice day while you storm the State House.
And that is a very good point. There have been a handful of large national brands and national corporations who have sent really beautifully written statements to people. We support equality. We support Black Lives Matter. This is Pride Month. We support LGBTQ people, our customers, our clients, whatever. But then you look at their boards, and that does not reflect in their senior leadership, and they have no plans to do anything differently. So it's kind of placating to the masses. And, the great thing about social media and Google, in 2 seconds, you can find out who's on the board, who's the president and the COO and the CFO, and, what do these people do? There have been a couple of hardware stores, big box hardware stores. One of them sends out lots of, floofy messages that they support things, but, their leadership doesn't show it. The other one sends out lots of floofy messages and their leadership shows it. He does things on his own, and he has the company support different things for the community. So it's kind of, my grandma always used to say the proof is in the pudding, and that's still very true because people can find out. So I think sincerity and being real is very valuable to people because there's so much fake nonsense and platitudes and, nice little fluffy messages for Twitter. And I think people are tired of it. Like, be real with me. If you believe what I believe, cool. If you don't, that's cool too. Now I have information and I can choose what I do with that. So, when you're composing a message, if you're going to choose to make some sort of statement, make sure that you have a track record that backs that up. Because if you don't, somebody somewhere is going to call you out, and then you're going to have a big mess to clean up. And, you're going to have to figure out what to say, and you're going to look like a dum-dum, and you don't want to do that.
Now, as kind of on the flip side of that, sort of the flip side, let's say that you're seeing something happening in the greater world, and you look at your business and you go, you know what? We've been doing a terrible job at this.
Yeah.
We need to do better. You know what? Say that.
Mm-hmm.
Be honest and just say, you know what, we're looking at what's happening on the state or the local or the national stage, whatever it is, and we can do better. And here's how we're going to start.
We all can do better. Here's our plan.
And the saying always goes, when you know better, you can do better.
Yep.
And it's the truth. The other thing with what you're saying about being transparent and being honest and being candid, as a business owner, the other thing about that is your employees, when they see you, if you're putting out something that's a platitude, and your employees know you really don't feel that way,
mm-hmm.
that's just another good reason for your employees to go, I'm gonna show up for work, but I'm not really gonna put my heart in it. I'm gonna be looking for another job.
Mm-hmm. So that would affect your business from the inside too. You may still have customers, but if your employees are like, I don't think so, they're not going to do their best.
And for those who may be, in the early stages of business ownership or thinking about starting, turnover in employees is expensive.
Yes.
People think of employees as being disposable in some ways because, you can always hire somebody else. Yeah, there's statistics out there you can find about what it costs every time you have turnover and you have to train a new employee. You have to go through the whole process of figuring out, was that employee a good hire? Because maybe 3 months down the road, you're starting over again. So maintaining your staff, that transparency and that honesty is important, as important internally as it is facing externally.
Mm-hmm.
You want your team to be able to go out into the community, and when somebody says, "Oh, you work at such and such place, what do you think about being there?" You don't want them to go, "Well, it pays okay."
Yeah,
that could be the best thing they have to say about you.
Yeah,
or maybe they say it doesn't pay bad, and I want another job. But
well, it's a respect thing too.
Not only your customers, but your employees are your best.
Mm-hmm. No, I was going to say it's a respect thing too, because I personally have a hard time respecting people that I can't trust, or respecting people if I think they're playing me or they're not being 100% honest with me. I don't respect them as people, because it seems like, they're trying to put one over on me. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not stupid. I don't appreciate you treating me like this. So, respect is sometimes, it's earned, and sometimes it's hard to earn with people. And, if you're not on the same page, like if your mouth and your actions are not on the same page, people know that, and that can affect the respect as well as the bottom line for the business.
And that's exactly, and I think if you were going to sum up this entire conversation in one word, respect is really it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there have been people who I've known in a professional and personal level for years, and then one slip comment on social media or in person,
mm-hmm.
and you kind of turn your head and go, have you felt this way the whole time?
Mm-hmm.
Is this what you really think?
Mm-hmm.
And once you lose that respect for someone, it's pretty darn rare to get it back.
Yeah.
So I think that is really the whole underlying message of this whole thing is before you post something
mm-hmm.
on your personal or your business social media, is think about, is this post respectful
mm-hmm.
of my customers, of my staff, of myself?
Mm-hmm.
Am I making myself look
respectable?
Yes. It doesn't, I'm not even talking about what people are going to agree with you, but are you presenting whatever your statement is, are you presenting it in such a way that people are going to feel like, well, you're calling me a bad name, whether you're
mm-hmm.
literally doing that or not?
Mm-hmm.
Or, think about whether you're being respectful to your audience.
Yeah.
And to yourself. And if you're not sure, when in doubt, do not hit the post button.
Mm-hmm.
But you can always put something in, draft it up in a little Word document and sit on it for a couple of days and think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And
yep.
when you come back, I think most of us have probably done that with an email where you have the angry response and you type it up
mm-hmm.
and don't hit send. Please don't hit send. Let me think about that first.
Mm-hmm.
No different, except that social media spreads farther faster.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's a good point about, rage typing it up and then not
mm-hmm.
hitting send. There are a lot of therapists and other like holistic practices that say, especially if you're having a problem like with a particular individual, put it all down in writing, like get that out of you and then burn it. Like you don't actually deliver it to the person, you burn it and kind of let it go, set it free. So, maybe typing things up in a Word document to get it out would be a good idea, for people. So personally, I have to rage for a few minutes about something, but I usually do that like to my husband or a friend. And then I'm like, okay. And then I don't take my, irritation for whatever the topic is out to just the general public. So, because you don't want people to view you through that one lens of something that happened over the course of 10 or 15 minutes. And then, they're judging you just in general forever over one incident, one opinion, something like that. So.
Well, and one other thing that occurs to me too is you hear more and more that the longer that social media has been around is someone who's in the public eye having the media or having somebody come back on them for, well, here's something, this person is supposedly an activist in this area, but when we look back at their Twitter from 6 years ago,
mm-hmm.
there are some posts that are not in line with that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never going to advocate just trying to go back and delete.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if there's something that you post that you felt strongly enough about posting, and Twitter never goes away. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
It's out there, but it never really goes away. If you have genuinely had a change of heart about something, say that.
Yeah.
Now, people talk about, and it drives me kind of crazy in politics, they'll say, oh, so-and-so's a flip-flopper.
Yeah.
Okay, but sometimes people are just, they're trying to follow the crowd and change opinions for personal gain.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, though, we learn new information and we actually change our mind about an issue.
Mm-hmm.
It may not happen as often, but
mm-hmm.
if you genuinely have had a change of heart, there's nothing wrong with going, oh, some of my old posts are not good.
Yeah.
Go back and add a comment under them. Go
mm-hmm.
back and add a whole new comment and say, I was looking back at my old posts and
mm-hmm.
I said some things that I was stupid.
Mm-hmm.
You see people now going, oh, well, let's misinterpret it. That's not how I meant it. And then you look back, yeah, that is how you meant it.
Yeah, that just looks like a sad excuse. Like, no, you did. Just own it. Apologize. I think people respect people more if they take accountability for their words and their actions instead of trying to throw someone or something under the bus. Oh, it was a typo. Oh, well, this particular person just misinterpreted what I said. And it's possible that something did get misinterpreted or there really was a typo, but sometimes that is a very far stretch and people can tell that. It's a whole lot better just to be honest and say, you know what, I said that and I'm really sorry. I was angry, I was insensitive, whatever. And I think people will understand that and respect you more because everybody gets angry. Everybody has had ugly moments in their lives when they've been insensitive, for whatever reason. So if you own it and you do better in the future, I think you can still get respect back from people. Now, if you own it or make excuses and you never change your behavior, then that is a problem and people are going to very quickly lose their patience with you, your business, your company, whatever. They're going to be like, yeah, and they're going to take their business elsewhere because we have options. There is nothing anywhere where there is not another option. So
absolutely. Oh, goodness. Right. I have to go post on social media this afternoon, so I'm going to be really paranoid about that.
Sorry. Well, hopefully this has been a good chat and, maybe some people that have been confused about I'm a business owner. I see all these other business owners, getting crap all over the news from things they've said. I don't understand why. Hopefully this can maybe help some people understand why, things have happened the way they have. And maybe, we've had a good conversation about some things to ask yourself before you post. So if something is questionable, if you're kind of on the fence, you can maybe figure out for yourself what's the best course of action. So we've covered all the things that I wanted to go over today. Do you have anything else, like one last thought that you would leave with a business owner who's maybe struggling with what they should say on social media to keep up with current events or
yeah, and I think
whatever.
That's the trick. I think, and actually I'll flip that around instead of their personal posts. If you have a social media presence for your business,
mm-hmm.
We always talk about with social media, one of the worst things you can do is not post regularly. Yeah. So folks who are looking at all of what's going on and going, I just want to stay out of it, but I don't know if I should just be like, hey, I have a sale going on, yep. Or trying to walk that line between, do I acknowledge what's happening in the world from my business page? Do I not? What do I do? It's okay. People are okay with seeing things that are unrelated, but don't be unmindful. Mm-hmm. You always, not just in the current environment, you always need to be mindful about what's happening in the world. If there was, this sounds terrible, but if there's been a hurricane that's been impacting lots of people, don't have a sale where you're promoting on social media about, you'll be blown away by our prices. Mm-hmm. Not good timing. You need to, because somebody's going to see that and go, oh, geez, and then they're going to scream.
Totally insensitive, yeah.
But yeah. So, other than that, it's okay to say, there's a lot happening in the world today, but we're here, we're open, and we want to help you with whatever it is that our business does. Mm-hmm. You don't have to go deep down the rabbit hole talking about what side of the issues you're on. It's just, we want our customers to be safe. So here's what we're doing. Here's how we're opening. Here's, we have a mental health therapist. Mm-hmm. They've been doing a lot of telehealth. Yeah. It's okay to say, hey, we're doing this now because we want to make sure everybody feels safe. Mm-hmm. That's okay. And it's not a judgment issue on who's wearing a mask and who's not. It's, we know that some people feel this way and we're trying to accommodate. Mm-hmm. It's okay to say those things. It's not necessarily self-serving. It can be, but it's, we're trying to do the best for our customers, and that's a message that's always good to put out.
Yeah. Cool. Cosign.
All right.
Well, thank you for being my guest today on the Visionista podcast.
And thanks for having me, even though we couldn't have lunch.
I know. Anyway, one of these days, soonish, I hope. But anyway, there will be some links to Catholic Social Services in the description. If you need to reach out, I'll put a link for Andrea's LinkedIn profile there too, if you'd like to connect with her for anything. So hopefully this has been helpful. This has been the Visionista.